New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Finding the Joy in the Journey. I'm Gina, and I am blessed to be here with you today as a host. I am also the spiritual director of CSL Greater Boston, and I am also part of this prayer team on this beautiful network that is here to uplift humanity, to remind us of the truth and bring light into this world in greater ways. So this show in particular is finding the joy in the journey. And what we do here is help people find greater ways to joy. And that is just what it sounds like. We all want to be happy, but it's not a destination. It's so important that we're not waiting. Well, when I get that job, then I'll be happy. When I find the mate, well, then I'll be happy. Well, when I've got enough money to travel, then I'll be happy. This isn't a destination. We are here, right now. And it's about living in this place of joy, creating the life that we choose. There is no happy ending to an unhappy story. At some point, something's got to change. And this is a wonderful opportunity to find different ways, different modalities to find and increase the joy in your life. So we are here every week with different guests to do just that. And this week, I'm very excited to bring to you, an amazing woman who has just so many gifts. She's an intuitive counselor. She's an energy healer, metaphysical healer. She works worldwide and does conferences. She's an author. She's a shaman. She is amazing. She works with both people and pets, which I have to tell you, I absolutely love. What's better than healing your pets? And she's culminated her studies of over 30 years. She began as a counselor and realized there's more to it for her. And she has become a Reiki master. She is certified in EMF, which is electromagnetic field balancing, and also became a certified practitioner in the UN method of healing. And what she realized is that when she used all of these things, as in addition to being a shaman and all her gifts that she has, that she's able to create an accelerated healing. And she works with so many different types of. She's been able to help heal depression, grief, PTSD, anxiety. She's worked with people with physical or emotional abuse, insomnia, as well as different diagnoses, whether it be COVID-19, Lyme disease, fibromyalgia, all kinds of chronic pain, and even cancer. She does so much, and it's exciting to have her here today. So I have Ellie Pechet joining us today from New Hampshire. Welcome, Ellie. It is wonderful to have you here. Welcome to Finding the Joy in the Journey.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you for having me on as a guest.
And I was blessed you had walked into our center, and what a gift it was. Immediately I said, well, you need to be on the show. It's not even a question to me, for all that you do and what you put forth in the world. It's a very different, you're a different corner of the world when it comes to healing. I especially love the part about the pets. And don't get me wrong, I love and appreciate how much you do with people. And when we spoke, you had shared about working with children and all ages, and I appreciate that. But I've never really had a conversation with someone that was able to do what you've done with pets either. And I want people to know, I'm going to put this up throughout the hour. I'm going to put some different information up for you, whether it be your cell number so people can contact you, or this is your website, which is very detailed with all kinds of information and stories on your clients, on their animals, and just their beloved. Because let's face it, at this point, our pets are like our children for a lot of us. So tell me, how did you start?
Well, I started out just being very interested in understanding people and what makes us all tick. And so my first step on this journey, on my life's mission, was working as a counselor in a mainstream mental health facility. It actually was a inpatient psychiatric unit. And
Wow.
yeah, so I got some years of experience working as a clinician, and eventually I got my master's degree in counseling. And pretty early on, though, I realized there was a lot more that I'm here to do than just talk therapy. And this is back in the early 80s. I didn't know what it was yet, but it started to unfold, pretty quickly with energy healing. When I would experience something for myself personally, because I've always been on my own personal and spiritual journey, as well as my mission here, my career.
Mm-hmm.
And so the things that I found were really effective for me, I got trained in and certified in. So, and that's how I started moving into the energy healing in addition to the counseling. And I thought, this is a really, really good combination. And I knew intuitively that doing counseling and energy healing would really help accelerate the progress of everyone that I worked with. So I got certified in Reiki, in Yuan method, EMF, like you mentioned. And then I realized I was going to spiritualist classes, which, their belief system is quite strong in life after death, that we never really die, that the soul continues to live and changes form. And anyway, taking those classes and groups, I realized that I'm a natural medium and could talk with people that have crossed over. And then I realized when I was doing my private counseling energy healing practice in Buzzards Bay, Massachusetts, I discovered that I'm also a natural born shaman when I was working with a client, and I realized that she had the spirit of an old woman inside of her who had gone into her physical being and was afraid to leave. And all of a sudden, I just remembered from past lifetimes as a shaman how to actually go inside the client energetically and coax the spirit and talk with her until she was willing to leave. And I still remember this. This is like 25 years ago. But I actually carried her out of the client in my arms and guided her to the light. That was the first time I had an experience like that. And it turned into, it's been about 20 years, that branch of my healing as a shaman, in talking with, diagnosing, and then removing all kinds of entities, not just spirit attachments, but other ones that include aliens and demons from time to time. So that's the one branch of my healing practice that gets utilized quite a bit. Earlier this afternoon, a client referred her sister to me, and it was her first session. I worked with her on the phone, and I identified and removed a demon and 2 spirit attachments, one random spirit and one karmic spirit. And she felt it, because I check in, as I'm working with clients. How are you feeling? What are you noticing? And she felt much better, much lighter after her first session, and she's free of those entities. So that's a big part of my work. And then the other part is the Pechet healing technique, which is what you referred to earlier, in which I send my energy in a highly focused way, and I go in like a laser to the client energetically and literally dissolve whatever the highest priority issue is for that session, whether it's depression or grief over the loss of a loved one, or insomnia, trauma over an accident, could be a rollover, or it could be emotional trauma. But that's the other branch. So there's the shaman branch, and then there's the healing emotional and physical issues.
And another thing that I really appreciated that you actually, and I actually saw it on your website as well, is that you imprint what they need. So if there's a word, it's getting, you're safe. That was one of them. So in other words, I was looking at Louis the cockatiel, and just this sweet little bird that the past owner was abusive.
Yes.
And you were able to tell the owner that, and you were able to imprint this beautiful bird with that you're safe.
That's right.
And it's not like you were speaking to, it was, you did that through a picture, correct?
Yes, I did that through his picture. Humans will send pictures of a pet that needs assistance. And yes, in Louis's case, I healed his trauma. He had completely shut down and wouldn't sing with his current human, until I cleared his trauma from having, the cage shaken when he would sing. So he started singing again. And you're right, the imprint that he needed, and it's always intuitive. I listen and then I'll hear it, was to know that he was safe. And so that's when he started singing again. And he's happy and he's free of the trauma.
And you've worked with older dogs that were ready to leave in transition, and able to prepare their owners, and and you've worked with families after a beloved pet has gone, and and crossed that rainbow bridge, and you were able to share that not only they were okay, but to send a message, and connect with them. And I mean, there's so many stories that are on your website. Everything, even the ducklings I did read about there were ducks with the ducklings on Mass. Was it Star Drive?
River.
Yep, by Star Drive in Boston. And you were able to, assist and get them, guide her back to where she needed to be.
I had to stop the traffic. I stopped my moped right in the middle of Star Drive, and I put one hand up here and one hand up there, and so that the duck could cross with her little ducklings.
And I'm sure the people were thrilled with that. But it had to be it had to be very. I would have felt wonderful seeing them make their way to where they needed to be. So there's
absolutely.
It's it's a gift. It truly is. And you were talking about, before we there's so many different topics, but I wanted to bring up your book because you had been speaking about, your, as a shaman, you have a book that's Hitching a Ride, a guide to earthbound spirits and how they affect you. Can you tell us a little bit? And this is available on Amazon. So I just wanted to mention that to anyone's looking for it. This is on Amazon, ready for you.
Yes, so, I've gotten some really, really nice reviews about the book. Everyone who reads it loves it. It's not a hot, technical book. It's based on 17 years worth of case studies of actual people who had different types of entities that were bothering them. And so I think people love it because it's just like a whole bunch of interesting short stories. And it really, the reason I wrote the book was really as a service to humankind, to raise the awareness that there are a lot of energy beings, spirits, people who leave the body but get stuck on the earth plane and can't be seen, but they're very much around. And they're destructive. They cause problems, not only for themselves because they're stuck as a soul, right? Their soul growth is stuck until they go back to the light, but they cause problems for the people who they end up attaching to, because it's a first of all, it's a boundary violation, and second, the person that they attach to, because they can't see them, and our society really doesn't know much about this, which is why I wrote the book. But their personality will start changing if they tend to be angry or depressed. They'll get ratcheted up a lot. The depression gets much worse, or the grief, or the anger, when there's a spirit attached to them that they can't see, and they don't know what's going on. So I really wrote the book to increase awareness that these energy beings do exist. And in fact, I think if people read the book and they have this knowledge, it can save unnecessary surgeries and even medications. If they get it diagnosed properly by someone like myself, and they don't end up needing the surgery for the gallbladder that all of a sudden became very painful because there was an entity, maybe not a human entity, but another type of energy being wrapped around it, causing the pain. So when I identified and then removed the energy or that was around the gallbladder, and this is a real example, the pain went away and the woman canceled her surgery appointment.
It's, there's a lot that we don't know, that, we believe in the unseen as, in the metaphysical world, of New Thought. We believe in the unseen. And Ernest Holmes called a treatment, our affirmative prayer, that we call it a treatment. He called that an entity. in several places, that's, he refers to it as an entity. And well, I know there's a lot of people that don't believe in a negative one. If there can be a positive one, because that's what a prayer or a treatment is, how could there not be on the other side of that? So it's it, it's an amazing, it's just very interesting to look into and to realize that there may be more than meets the eye, and it may not be for everyone. And this is one of the things that I always do, is try to explore new ideas or ways, things that people haven't thought about before.
That's good.
This is an option for people to say, okay, well, if you've gone down other avenues, this is another one. Because I myself have had energy healing, and definitely experienced different types of it. I've had Reiki, and I could feel the person working on me. I could feel the warmth coming from her hands. But the truth was, it wasn't coming from her hands. It was being removed from me. It was what came out of me. And she could feel it. She said at the end, it was very warm. And I could feel exactly where she was because of how warm it was. So I've also had distance healings in the energy work, where it was in the sense, this person was, actually, I did it over the phone with someone. I have a friend that is an amazing, she does reconnective energy work. And I've gone from completely swollen to completely resolved in 20 minutes. So it may not be everyone's experience, but I know for me, it definitely is an amazing gift. So if you can, tell us a little bit more about, when you're working with someone, like you had shared with me that you're working with someone with cancer, and how, one of the things that we don't realize, but we put up a barrier sometimes, where we think, oh, we're using the C word. All of a sudden they tell you it's, stage 4, I'm doomed. And you had said the first session, that was what you had to address.
Yes. I seem to be working with more cancer clients lately. I had just finished, I'm just about at the tail end of working with a client who was diagnosed with malignant skin cancer within the last 2 months. And a lot of when I'm working with someone, when someone comes to me with a physical condition, especially something as serious as cancer, it's imperative, and I find it most effective to clear whatever the emotional issues are that have caused and contributed to the manifestation of cancer. So in this woman's case, it was resentment that had built up, not just for weeks, months, or years, but decades. And she had repressed her anger, her resentment, her upset, her grief, until it finally erupted, literally, in malignant skin cancer. So just using this as an example, the issues that I needed to clear for her were the resentment, the rage, the disappointment, the grief. And I clear one issue, one concrete issue every session, and I clear it thoroughly. And so every time I worked with her, afterwards, she felt more free. She felt more and more liberated. She felt more inner peace. And in fact, the cancer started to decrease and slow down, to the point that now she's pretty much cancer free, and she's liberated. So she has the inner peace and the happiness and no cancer.
I really think that that's, to me, one of the most neglected parts of medicine, is that something got us there. We know that thoughts are things, and we know that if there's basically disease is dis-ease. So something got us to this point of, this, what is showing up as illness. If we don't heal what got us there, it comes up again and again.
That's right.
Both of my mother and father had 5 different bouts with cancer.
That's too
And
bad.
it's an instance of, it was never healed.
Right.
Whatever was that root. And, there are people that say it's environmental. There are people that say hereditary. These are all seeds that are planted that people can believe. But it wasn't the case. It wasn't hereditary. And it wasn't about that. And it's knowing that if there's anger, sadness, grief, resentment, and it's not healed, then more comes.
Right.
And it's being in a place of doing things differently. And I take that personally to heart. Especially for me, I had cared for my mother. I was her primary caretaker. My father, my stepmother was that, but I was still part of the mix. Of course, it's still my dad.
Yeah.
And my sister was diagnosed and had transitioned in 2 months. It was like wildfire in her. And again, there were so many worldly things that you could see how it happened. And I had gone through all of this as the caretaker. And it manifested in me, even though I was as a practitioner and I was doing all the things that I was doing to keep myself, or believing that I was doing all that I could to keep myself in that cleared space. I ended up with over a dozen tumors in my kidneys. And, there's Eastern and Western medicine. And, they believe that that's, Western medicine and Eastern medicine, one is the inside versus the mind, the outside. There's a pill versus, okay, so what's the cause inside? And the kidney is a grief. It's where you hold your grief. So the fact that that's where it landed, it wasn't a surprise. So now I do, and I have done since, it's about 8 years on the other side, thankfully. And miracle after miracle happened so that I still have both of my, which is truly a miracle, both of my kidneys and their normal kidney functions. And I'm very grateful. And I do a lot to make sure that I maintain the joy. And I'm not bypassing grief anymore.
It sounds like that was a huge life lesson for you, that whole experience.
And that's part of why I really think it's important that people hear about it.
Yes, I agree with you. I agree with you. We need to talk. We need to talk about the real issues, not about the quick fix after, there's a problem. It's about, prevention, ideally. And, when there is an issue, it's about going deeper, not just going to the hospital, having them cut this out or cut that out, take out this organ, take out that organ, like you said, give you a pill or some other medication. I mean, that's so superficial and it's so invasive. It's not healthy for the body. What's healthy is, like you say, understanding, starting, getting to know ourselves deeper and understanding, what has caused this, what has led to this. In my practice over the last 33 years, speaking about cancer, over and over again, what I have seen is that
Yes. Resentment definitely
leads to cancer, and heartache and grief lead to heart disease. I've healed so many broken hearts. That's one of my favorite things to heal for people. And it prevents a heart condition from developing.
And oftentimes in our society, people will ask, well, how are you doing? But do they really mean it?
Right.
So often people, I'm good, how are you? And we have that banter, but is it real? So
right.
It's so important that we have people in our lives. We have our own tribe of people that really want to know. And that, well, first off, that we're connected to our own truth enough to know. Because for years I was not. I didn't know what it meant to intuitively really feel where I was. I didn't know how to experience fear. I didn't know how to experience life other than that fight or flight. I spent my whole life as a result of childhood and trauma that I didn't know that that was even the thing. I didn't know that I was always reacting and caretaking and overcautious
Yeah.
because of how I was raised.
Yeah.
And it takes what it takes to become aware so
Yeah.
that I am operating differently.
Yeah. Yeah. Good for you. Congratulations. That's so big.
And if you have the decades to do that, that's one thing. And our teachings make it so that we can not necessarily need the decades. But we also have people like you. We have metaphysicians that can treat and know that, that resentment, that depression, whatever it may be, we can pluck that weed out, because isn't that what treatment's all about? We are in this 5-step process of knowing spirit is all that there is, and we are within that oneness, and knowing that this is what I claim, and then giving it to the law to do the rest. Letting God be God to do the rest is how I look at it. And when we have tools, but when we're not at the place of even knowing what we need, we can go to someone like you that can help us with that. So
Yeah.
I just want to say that we are live, and for people watching wherever you may be all over the world, we're grateful that you're here. And we'd love any questions, any comments that you have. Please feel free to just put them right in the comment section, and we can get to that while we're here. We'd love to hear from you. So, what is your experience with? Have you had people come to you that didn't really believe in what you were doing?
Uh, well, they didn't. That's a good question.
Someone sent them, they said you'll have to try it, and they're like, well,
Well, usually the people who come to me, um, they either already do believe in metaphysics, which is the world that I really operate in, or they're in so much pain and they've had so much failure with the medical model that they really know that they need to try something different. And they find my website. They'll see that there are like 75 video testimonials on there for all kinds of things I've helped clients with. They feel, that assures them, along with the 33 years of experience that I have, that also assures them that I'm like really solid. And on the website and in general, my thing is, and what I talk about is getting real results. It's not about, airy fairy. My work is very grounded, very focused. And every client that I work with can expect to get a real result of something specific and really important for them cleared every session. And that's what I pride myself on, is getting the results. Why, anyway, so
yeah, the science, it's a science of mind. Actually, that's what it's about, is having an actual demonstration, is seeing the results as a result of. And it's I put it out there because there may be someone that's in the back of their mind saying, well, what about, and what about? And I encourage people to go to your website, because you have been doing this for over 30 years, and you do have many testimonials of people and pets. And we're a society that often is looking for relief. There's a lot of people looking for something.
And we can have relief and growth and soul growth at the same time.
Yes.
One of the things that I do with when I'm working with clients is I clear the pain of the issue or the trauma, the grief, whatever it is. And then I also bring through intuitive guidance. Why did this happen? Is there a lesson here? Is this what is the opportunity for your soul's growth? And so it's like it's a win-win. The pain is gone and they have the wisdom of why a situation happened, for example. It happened just today with another. You want a quick example?
Sure.
So my other, the client that you mentioned she has ovarian cancer, stage 4. And I just started working with her last week. Her daughter found me online and they were both really impressed by my credentials, experience, the video testimonials. They said, she's the one, she's going to help us. And so I've done a couple of sessions, 3 sessions with the mother so far. The first was I cleared her hopelessness, which is often the case when someone has a really serious illness like cancer, but many other things too. And I imprinted her with being hopeful. She looked like a different person her next session. I work with people with cancer twice a week initially. And she felt a lot better. She felt a lot more hopeful and continues to feel that way. So her daughter saw how much her mother was improving. And so she signed up for 4 sessions for herself, separate from her mother. And I worked with her this afternoon. And, she's struggling. She's been feeling really challenged, being the only one who's taking care of her mother, and her siblings and her father are like kind of hands off. They're really not helping. And she actually came here from California to take care of her mother, and it's been all consuming. And so she's been struggling with resentment. So today was her second session, and she wanted me to help her feel better and clear the resentment toward the rest of her family for not helping. So I did that. It actually was frustration. And by the end of the session, as I was working with her, and when I'm doing the energy work, it's silent because I have to really focus. But by close to the end of it, all of a sudden, I realized that she is, that this whole situation is karmic, and that she is balancing her own karma from a past life with this family when she was probably on the other side of this, like being the one that was hands off, not helping, being self-centered. So now she comes back and she's doing all the work, and that's the lesson. And so I shared that with her, and along with the actual energy healing, just having that awareness, I'm balancing my karma. This is why this is happening. Now it makes sense why they're not helping and I'm doing all the work. And it was huge. I mean, it was such a gem for her to have, for me to share that with her about why it's happening. So I think we want to know, why is this happening? Why did that happen? Especially when it comes to things like trauma, grief. When we understand it, it's part of what helps us deal with it. Does that make sense?
It absolutely can. There's different reasons. It's not just about explanations, but sometimes the why can help, and it can be other reasons. Sometimes there's more than meets the eye, and we don't. There's more than what we know. Always.
There's always more than meets the eye.
And it can, and there's also ways to basically balance out that karma. For me, one of the things that I know is that the lessons that I learned through the experience of my surgeries that I had, that I experienced. I couldn't imagine of learning them any other way because of how I was raised, because of the way that I operated. I didn't know how to stop. I didn't know how to not do. I was a human doing, not a human being.
You were on the hamster wheel.
I absolutely, and I didn't know how to ask for help.
Yep.
I wasn't built to ask for help. I was the caretaker.
Yeah.
And I didn't matter what I was doing to myself. I pushed myself no matter what. And as a result of this, I had to stop. When I had that, it had to stop.
Right. When something gets physical, that will get your attention if nothing has before that.
So now I am very aware that one of my affirmations is, I no longer need to learn through pain. I am wide awake to what the universe is teaching. I am very much aware of, it doesn't need to get to the point of that. And I'm also, my boundaries are different. My awareness is different. I'm different because of it.
Yeah.
So had it never happened, I wouldn't be who or where I am today. I certainly would have never gone to ministerial school. So there's so many layers of things behind it all. And it doesn't mean I want to walk that path again. So, because if we don't learn from it, it happens again. That's the way it works, So
that's true.
I don't want to do this ever again.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's consciously choosing differently. And, just like we'll go to a practitioner or a minister and we will be in a session. Yes. We get the opportunity to treat it all the time. I also have my own blinders. I'm blinded by what I don't know, and I'm blinded by what I want to see. So my perspective on any situation, that's why we get resentment. That's why we get anger. That's why we have all different kinds of emotions, because it's my personal perspective on something. So I am blinded at times, or sometimes it's how we're raised. There may be a self-esteem issue from when we were children. There may be, there may be some kind of stuckness around money because, we were raised, if you were raised poor and, there was a stigma or a bias against rich people, there might be something blocking your flow. So sometimes we're not the people to get ourselves out of it.
It could even be money. It could even be past life. It could be that someone was like super poor in a past life and unconsciously they don't know. Well, consciously they're not aware of why they have money issues in this life, but their soul remembers everything, of course, and so the consciously they might swear that they're never going to be poor again. They don't know why. It's such a strong theme for them. But it could be past life, just like sometimes women who have weight issues, they might have in a past life starved. Well, their soul is like, well, there's no way we're going through that again. I'm going to make sure that I have enough to eat, and I'm going to overeat just in case.
There's all different layers of that. For me, one of the phobias, I don't have a lot of them, but a phobia that I had, all my life was bridges. I didn't like bridges. And I personally experienced a past life regression where I saw myself being thrown off a bridge.
Yeah.
So it explained it. And initially it wasn't healed. But eventually, in the knowing that I am safe, and in the mantra as I'm crossing it saying, I am safe, sometimes I don't feel anything at all. I no longer have the reaction. And sometimes I do. It depends. But it's nowhere near what it was.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. One session with me, and that would take care of it. You wouldn't have any more fear of bridges.
So
check it off the list.
So but we all have our own things and stuff, and it's just being mindful that there may be another way. Now, have you experienced energy healing for yourself as well? Are
Oh
you able
yeah.
to clear things for yourself?
Oh yeah. I'm always at it. I'm always, striving to become a better person and the best human, the best version of myself that I can be. And in fact, I just did clearing, a second clearing today. I hope that's the end of it, on tendonitis in my left shoulder that has been bothering me for months, and I just couldn't get to it because I've been busy with work especially. But now I feel like it's taken care of, and I'm not going to have to go to a physical therapist, you know, after this, and I can keep working out. But yes, in answer to your question, I work on myself in the mirror, and whenever I need to, and I'm very diligent about that. I've always done my own personal spiritual work along with my work with clients, humans, pets, and maybe another time, if you have me on again, Gene, I can share with you about my bigger service work, which is working with whales when I have time, and other wildlife groups.
I did
But
see that you actually you work with the ocean basically.
yeah, there's a lot to that, which we probably, maybe we could save that for another juicy
Sure,
topic. What do you think?
sure, absolutely.
But I
Uh,
can I just mention something?
of course.
You touched on something really important, and it's a part of the work that I do, part of my technique. You mentioned the affirmation, that you use. And when I do an imprint after I've cleared an issue for a client, the imprint actually becomes their affirmation. And so what affirmations do is they reinforce to the subconscious. They're like good food, good nutritious food to our subconscious. And it's also empowering for them to say it, and I might do all the work in terms of like clearing the issues that my clients need, but the whole point of that is freeing them up so that they're empowered and here and able to do, what they came here to do, fulfill their sacred contract and walk in joy and inner peace. That's my whole thing.
And that is really what it's all about. That's what we're all striving for. And unfortunately, we have a society that tells us bigger, better, faster, more. It's out there. That it's out there that's going to make me happy. When that's only fleeting. It doesn't matter what it is, it's fleeting. It's not going to
Yes.
last. So it's
Yes.
being mindful and aware that we get an opportunity to do things differently, living from the inside out. That's what,
Yeah.
that's what New Thought is all about. It's living from the inside out. And you have a gifted view to be able to do that in a different way, which is wonderful. So what brings you joy in addition to your work? Aside from that, what brings you joy? I always love to ask that particular question. What do you do that lights you up from the inside?
Honestly, more than anything else, probably working with my clients, because I feel like I'm on purpose. I'm fulfilling my sacred contract. I'm contributing. I'm helping make the world a better place, whether it's one person at a time or if I'm working with a group. So that brings me a lot of joy, seeing the results that my clients getting them out of pain, whether it's physical, emotional, or both. That brings me a lot of joy. On a personal level, feeding whoever needs to be fed, and I'm usually talking about the wildlife around me, wherever I live. I help the wildlife. Right now, I'm feeding corn to the squirrels in the backyard. Rabbits, I found out, like corn also, as do chipmunks. I'm feeding seeds to the chipmunk, a couple of chipmunks right on the corner of my deck, and we sit. I have coffee, and he or she has their seeds, and we look at each other and say good morning. And then I feed the birds. I've got like 4 different types of bird food, for the different birds, from the woodpeckers to the goldfinches to the cardinals to the chickadees.
You have your own little sanctuary going.
Well, it's funny because when I moved here, I'm living in Nashua currently, and when I moved in, my neighbor across the street said she couldn't believe it. She's not metaphysical at all, and she said, "Oh my God, there are all these like animals and birds like coming over to your house." She didn't know she didn't know what was going on, but I love the animals and the birds, and do as much as I can to help them too.
My mother-in-law, it's just too funny. Every time she comes out of her house, or anyone comes out of her house, there's always squirrels waiting for their walnut. She gives them each a walnut, like whether it's once a day or several times, I don't know. But she buys them and stocks up for the winter, or she stocks up for whatever. And every time you open the door, they're waiting, like just standing there waiting for their walnut. And it's as big as they are sometimes. It's so funny, but they know, and it's that's. And we have, we have a stray cat that's whether or not officially stray, we don't know. But, it comes around all the time, so we feed the cat. And as we have the food out there, there's possums that are there. We've taken eating out of the same bowl. So I love animals, and I think that they're amazing, and that's part of why I really appreciate what you do, because you get to, like Dr. Doolittle, talk to the animals and walk with the animals. So I think that that's wonderful, and I appreciate that, as well as everything you do for, people as well. And I thank you for being here, because time just flies. I want to remind people that they can reach you. This is your website, phoenixrisinghealing.com. And it's important that they know that also this is your number.
Yes.
That they can reach you at for more information. And you're looking at setting up groups soon, which is exciting as well. There'll be a new series coming up. So when that happens, you'll have to come back on and tell us about it.
I will do that.
And your book, Hitching a Ride, is available on Amazon.
It's also available on the website, on the home page. And when they click on it, when they see this picture and they click on it, it will take them to Amazon, and it's very easy to buy it.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. And, I am very grateful. And is there any last note that you want to leave people with? Anything that you'd like to share?
Well, I'm still doing 15-minute consultations. So if anyone has any questions, once they look at the website, maybe watch a few video testimonials, if they still have questions and they feel intuitively guided that I can help them, that they can call me or email me and ask their questions. And, if they call me by phone, I will give them a free consultation for like 15 minutes or so. And
wonderful.
Yeah.
So if people have questions, they can reach out to you and get a 15-minute consultation. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So this is your number, and anybody has any questions, they can reach out. And thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I think we touched on something that is new, that we have, that it's important that if you haven't found your answer, whatever that may be, you keep looking. every person is meant to be free and live in joy. And we need each other. We need each other for, spirituality, for connection, for healing, for all kinds of things. We need each other. And it's so important that we share our love and vibration with each and all. So I am grateful for you being here with us. Thank you, Ellie, so much. And thank you all for watching. It is a gift to be here and to know that I'm not alone on this joyful journey.
Yes.
So,
Thank you, Gina. Thank you for asking me to be on it. It's been really, really wonderful meeting with you.
and this entire network is here because we get to bring in joy. So if there's anything that we've said or anything that you see here, know that it's ntmedia.org. You can go there and click on that donate button, and it allows this platform to be here. That is why we don't have all kinds of commercials. That's why we're able to bring you the truth with uncensored and looking at things in different ways. And I encourage you, go to our website again. It's ntmedia.org. And you can find out about all the shows that are on here. You can take a look at the schedule and even see all of the past episodes are listed there. So go looking for the good stuff at ntmedia.org. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh,
and
Gina,
you have one more thing. Go right ahead, Ellie.
Yeah, one more thing I wanted to mention is that I work remotely with clients all over the world, and I do this by phone or by Skype or by Zoom. So no matter where the audience is, anyone who's watching this, I can help you no matter where you are. So that's nice. And it's nice to be able to receive healings in the comfort of your own home. It's really
and that's a gift, especially with the animals and for children. And it's important to know that with children you use a picture, so you're not scaring children and you're not in that place of, and you're able to do your work with that. And it's non-threatening to anybody in any way. So I encourage people again, reach out. Absolutely reach out to Ellie and give her a call, and she can give you whatever information you need.
And I have been working with more children lately. I'll work with clients. They feel a lot better. Their issues are decreasing. And then they start having me work with their children, like you say, using their photographs. It's not that the work is scary. My technique is actually very gentle going in, but they don't have the attention span to sit there for the whole time. So this way I work with the picture and they get the same result.
So wonderful. And thank you so much. We are out of time, and I'm so grateful for you joining us this week. Thank you for being here with us today. And any questions, anything at all that I can do, if you have any suggestions, reach out to me. I'd love, whether it be a topic or whether it be just comments, reach out to me at Gina@believeInYouToday.com or Gina@CSLBoston.org. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day. Blessings.
Thank you, Gina.